You know, it's actually one of the great ironies of modern life right now.
Oh, definitely.
Like you finally decide you want to optimize your health, right? You want to manage your stress. You want to lower your resting heart
Yeah,
rate.
get some actual sleep for once.
Exactly. Get some decent sleep. So what do? You go out and you strap this brightly glowing screen right to your wrist.
Right, which is just adding to the problem.
Totally. Because suddenly, right in the middle of trying to, find your zen or whatever, your wrist is just buzzing.
Oh, yeah, nonstop.
You get a calendar invite, then an email from your boss, and then this automated reminder telling you to stand up.
Like you didn't already have enough notifications in your life.
Exactly. I mean, we are desperately trying to disconnect and actually understand our own biology, but the absolute last thing you or I need is yet another screen demanding our attention.
It's a really fascinating paradox, honestly. I mean,
Yeah.
we're essentially trading our peace of mind for biological insight.
Yeah.
We're paying for all this health data with just constant digital interruption.
And that is exactly the mission of today's deep dive. We are exploring this rapidly growing world of smart rings.
Which is a huge market right now.
Massive. And we want to figure out how these completely screen-free passive wearables are, fundamentally changing how we track our physical health.
Yeah, it's a completely different approach.
It is. Specifically, we are going to look at the technology driving the OXYZEN ring, but, and this is important, we are also going to heavily scrutinize the hidden costs here.
Because they're always hidden costs.
Always.
Yeah.
We're looking at the downsides of this whole trend because it is definitely not all magic and microsensors.
Far from it, yeah.
So to do this, I have basically spent the entire week buried in OXYZEN's own engineering white papers.
Good luck with that dense reading.
Oh, it was a lot. But I was comparing them against some really insightful student productivity guides, and crucially, I read through this pretty ruthless 2025 industry review.
Oh, the one that pulls absolutely no punches.
None at all. It is brutally honest about exactly where these devices just completely fail.
Which is so necessary, Because when you shrink a comprehensive health tracker down to the literal size of a wedding band, I mean, you are making some massive engineering trade-offs.
Yeah, usability trade-offs too.
Exactly. You can't shrink something that much without sacrificing something else.
Okay, let's unpack this. To really understand why smart rings are gaining so much traction right now, we kind of have to look at what they are intentionally trying not to be.
Right. Which is smartwatches.
Exactly. They are definitely not smartwatches. And in the source material, there is this really powerful conceptual framework about the core identity of these wearables.
Yeah, the conductor versus the composer idea.
Yes, exactly. They compare the smartwatch to a conductor and the smart ring to a composer.
I love that analogy because it just perfectly captures the psychological difference between the two devices.
Right, because they feel so different to use.
They really do. Think about a conductor in an orchestra, right? The conductor is active, they are highly visible, they're constantly waving their arms and demanding attention.
Yeah, they're running the whole show.
Right. And that is your smartwatch. It manages the external flow of your day, it cues up your timers, it vibrates when you get a text. It literally tells you when to switch tasks.
It directs the performance.
Exactly, it directs everything.
But a smart ring is the composer. Or, I was actually thinking about it. It's almost like the acoustician.
Oh, the sound engineer?
Yeah, like the person standing quietly way in the back of the concert hall. It's entirely passive. It works completely in the background.
Just listening and analyzing.
Exactly. Analyzing the internal acoustics of your body, like your biological rhythms, your baseline stress levels, your sleep architecture.
It doesn't actually tell you what to do.
No, not at all. It evaluates whether you are actually in the right physiological state to perform in the first place.
Let's ground that in a real-world example, actually, from that productivity guide we reviewed.
Oh, yeah, the college student scenario.
Right. So they highlight this scenario with a college student, let's just call him Alex, and it's midterm week.
The highest stress week of the year.
Exactly. So imagine Alex sitting down to study, and he's got a smartwatch on. He uses it to set a 50-minute Pomodoro study timer.
Which seems like a good, productive idea.
It seems like a great idea. He's trying to be productive. But then, during that 50-minute window, his wrist vibrates with a group chat notification.
Oh, I hate that.
Then he gets a breaking news alert. And then his activity ring pops up to tell him he hasn't walked enough today.
Every single one of those buzzes just totally breaks his flow state.
Completely shatters it.
Because the cognitive cost of context switching, it just completely fractures his focus.
Yeah, the very tool he bought to help him manage his study session. basically becomes the primary conduit for his distraction.
Right. It's self-defeating.
It really is. So now, contrast that with Alex using a smart ring instead. His phone is totally silenced. It's physically zipped away in his backpack, completely across the room.
Out of sight, out of mind.
Exactly. And the ring itself, I mean, it has 0 screens.
Right.
It has no vibration motors at all. It provides absolutely 0 digital interruptions.
So Alex just gets to study in this completely protected cognitive space.
Yes, while the ring is just purely tracking his biological focus and his stress levels in the background.
Wow. It's the difference between having this micromanager tapping your shoulder all day long versus, like, a silent bodyguard.
A silent bodyguard, I like.
Yeah, a bodyguard who just slips a daily security brief under your door the next morning. You read it when you want to.
That is a perfect way to look at it.
But I do want to push back on this a little bit.
Sure.
Because if it doesn't have a screen, and it absolutely cannot tell me when to stand up or, when my next meeting is, what is it actually doing for me right then, in the immediate moment?
Well, what's fascinating here is that the smart ring's value isn't actually in the immediate moment at all.
Wait, really? It's not for the present.
Not primarily, no. It is a long-term investment in your overall health span.
Okay, I'm listening.
It fundamentally shifts the entire paradigm from time management,
Yeah.
which, is what that conductor smartwatch does.
Right.
It shifts it from time management to energy management.
Energy management. Okay, I really want to dig into that. Because if the ring is operating entirely in the background invisibly, we need to talk about exactly what invisible signals it is picking up to measure that energy.
Right, because it's doing a lot more than you'd think.
Exactly. I mean, we clearly aren't just talking about a glorified pedometer counting your daily steps here.
Far from it. The absolute foundational metric that all these rings track is heart rate variability, or HRV.
HRV, yeah.
And this is a biological concept that is actually deeply counterintuitive for a lot of people to grasp at first.
I certainly had to read the engineering white papers twice just to wrap my head around it.
It trips a lot of people up.
Because, most of us operate under this assumption that a really healthy, strong heart beats perfectly steadily, like a metronome.
Right. Tick, tick, tick.
Yeah, exactly, at 1-second intervals, just boom, 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 perfectly spaced.
Which is the totally illogical assumption to make. But from a neurological standpoint, that is the exact opposite of what you actually want.
Wait, really? So perfectly steady is bad?
It is. A healthy, highly resilient nervous system actually has high heart rate variability.
Okay, meaning what exactly?
Meaning the time interval between your individual heartbeats should constantly vary in these subtle, microscopic, fractional ways.
Oh, I see.
Think of your autonomic nervous system kind of like driving a car. You have the sympathetic nervous system, right?
Which is your gas pedal.
Exactly. It activates your stress, it powers your fight or flight response.
Right.
And then you have the parasympathetic nervous system, which is your brake pedal. It calms you down, it controls resting and digesting.
So if I'm understanding this, a high HRV means your body is just rapidly adapting. It's constantly fluttering between the gas pedal and the brake, just constantly adjusting based on whatever your environment demands at that exact second.
You nailed it. Biological flexibility basically equals resilience.
Okay, so then if your heart is beating really rigidly, like that perfectly steady metronome I mentioned.
Then it means your nervous system is stuck.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it means you have essentially slammed both of your feet down on the gas pedal. You were just completely locked in a chronic stress response.
That sounds exhausting.
It is. The clinical term they use in the sources is allostatic overload.
Allostatic overload.
Yeah, which basically just means that your body's compensatory systems are completely failing to manage sustained demands.
Well, the physiological cost of having a stuck gas pedal like that is just terrifying.
The statistics are really grim.
They really are. The sources cited some heavy, heavy statistics on chronic stress, like work-related stress alone increases your risk of depression by 54%.
54% is a massive jump.
It's huge. And then personal stress, that elevates your risk of circulatory disease by a staggering 72%.
Which is exactly why capturing that HRV data day in and day out is so incredibly critical.
Right.
But, measuring your daytime stress is really only half of the equation here.
Because you have to recover from that stress.
Exactly. You cannot build resilience if you aren't actually recovering. So we have to ask, how is this tiny little ring handling sleep architecture differently than a bulky watch.
Well, the sleep tracking that was detailed in the OXYZEN material, it goes way beyond just logging, the total hours that you were unconscious.
Right, it's not just a basic stopwatch.
No, the ring is tracking the highly specific architecture of your sleep cycles. It measures your light sleep and then your deep sleep.
Deep sleep being crucial.
Yeah, deep sleep is where the slow wave memory consolidation happens
Yeah.
and all the physical muscle repair. And then it also measures REM sleep, which handles all your procedural memory and emotional regulation. And on top of all that, it is continuously tracking your SpO₂, your blood oxygen saturation all throughout the night.
And that SpO₂ metric is just highly, highly relevant for screening things like sleep apnea.
Or just general respiratory disturbances, yeah.
Right. Things that you would completely sleep through,
Yeah.
you know, but they are secretly just destroying your sleep quality from the inside.
The user testimonials and the source material really bring the stakes of all this data to life, actually.
Oh, the personal stories were great.
Yeah, there was this one from a user, Darren S., I think.
Yeah, Darren.
He actually caught a pretty serious breathing issue early on solely because his ring flagged that his SpO₂ numbers were dipping drastically night after night.
He had no idea otherwise.
None. And then there was Rhea P., who saw an unusually high resting heart rate and a totally tanked HRV on her app one morning.
Right, before she even felt sick.
Exactly. She realized she was getting sick before she ever felt a single sniffle or symptom.
It's crazy.
And users were also just noticing their HRV completely collapsing after doing seemingly normal things.
Like doom scrolling.
Yeah, doom scrolling on their phones late at night in bed, or having just like a couple of casual drinks with dinner. Their HRV would just plummet.
It forces this really brutal level of accountability, honestly. You simply cannot lie to the biometric data. It knows.
Okay, but here's where it gets really interesting, though.
Oh,
Because I really want to challenge the necessity of all this tracking.
go for it.
Let's talk about the nocebo effect for a second.
All right. The dark side of data.
Exactly. Like if I wake up feeling generally okay, I'm well rested, but then my app tells me, hey, your HRV was terrible last night, and your recovery score is a 42 out of 100.
Then suddenly you feel off.
Suddenly I feel like garbage. It completely becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy.
That happens a lot, yeah.
And honestly, I kind of feel like I know when I'm stressed out. Do I really actually need a piece of titanium jewelry to tell me that I had a toxic day at work?
Yeah.
Doesn't this constant 24/7 tracking just make us way more anxious?
It is a very, very valid critique.
Yep.
I mean, the nocebo effect, where negative information actually manifests real negative physical symptoms, that is totally real.
Right.
But you have to consider that the alternative is essentially driving blind,
How so?
because the research shows that your subjective memory and your conscious physical awareness, they're both highly, highly unreliable,
Really? Even for stress?
especially for stress.
Hmm.
By the time you consciously feel that tension headache coming on, or you finally realize, wow, I am emotionally exhausted, the physiological damage has already been happening inside you for hours.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, your body's fight or flight response has already been flooding your entire system with cortisol and adrenaline all day long.
So it's essentially catching the smoke long before I can actually see the fire.
That's a great way to put it, yeah.
But how does it actually do that? I mean, structurally, how does a literal solid piece of metal on my finger read the state of my nervous system?
Right, so it uses something called PPG, which stands for photoplethysmography.
Photoplethysmography. Try saying that 3 times fast.
I will not. But basically, inside the inner rim of the ring, there are these tiny LEDs and photodiodes.
Okay.
It is literally shining microscopic flashlights directly into your skin and then measuring exactly how much of that light bounces back.
Just bouncing light off my blood.
Exactly. Because with every single heartbeat, a wave of blood pulses through the capillaries in your finger.
Right, a pulse.
And more blood in the capillary absorbs more light. So by measuring the exact fraction of a millisecond between those little light absorption peaks, the ring calculates your HRV.
Okay, so it is basically taking a continuous ultra-high-speed video of my blood volume.
That is exactly what it's doing.
But, okay, capturing that level of medical-grade biometric data 24/7, that requires you to actually wear the device continuously.
Right, which is the hard part.
Which brings us to the biggest friction point of literally any wearable device ever made in history. Keeping the thing charged.
Oh, the charging issue, it's huge.
Right, because if it is sitting on a charger on your nightstand for 2 hours, it's not tracking your sleep.
The charging logistics are absolutely make or break for a smart ring. And the sources we looked at highlight this major engineering hurdle. They call it the hidden cost of traditional charging.
Yeah, I read about that.
If you look at the older rings or even some of the current competitor smart rings, they use these tiny exposed metal contact pins on the inside of the ring to connect to a charging dock.
But you are wearing this on your hand all day long. I mean, it is getting covered in sweat. You are washing your hands with soap. You're doing the dishes in the sink.
Exactly. When you introduce moisture plus the salts from your sweat, and then you run an electrical current across those little metal pins.
It's just bad news.
It's galvanic corrosion. It is simple chemistry, and it is totally inevitable.
The sources actually note that because of this corrosion, those contact pins often lead to complete device failure in just 8 to 12 months.
Which is crazy for a premium device.
It is infuriating. Imagine spending hundreds of dollars and it dies in under a year.
Unacceptable, really.
So I dug into how OXYZEN bypasses this whole mess, and their solution is Qi inductive wireless charging.
Right, fully wireless.
But the engineering feat to actually make this work is just wild to me. I mean, how on earth do you fit a wireless charging coil into a curved, solid piece of titanium that is only like 2 to 3 millimeters thick?
It's brilliant.
Yeah.
You basically have to engineer an ultra-thin, completely proprietary microcoil and then perfectly weave it into the inner resin layer of the ring.
Wow.
And you have to do all of that without obstructing those little optical PPG sensors we just talked about.
Because they still need to see the skin.
Exactly. So inductive charging, it works using electromagnetic fields. You have a transmitter coil in the charging base and a receiver coil inside the ring itself.
Okay, I follow.
The base creates this alternating magnetic field, which then induces an electrical current in the ring's tiny coil.
Right.
But to do that efficiently, in such a microscopic, heavily curved space, without losing power, it is incredibly difficult engineering.
And it generates a ton of heat, right?
Oh, a lot of heat. And in a device that is worn tightly against the skin on a finger, thermal management is a massive safety hurdle.
I mean, you can't just have hot metal sitting against human skin.
Obviously not. And lithium-ion batteries degrade really rapidly if they get too hot, too.
Right. So the white papers actually explain that they engineered these tiny microchannel thermal pathways within the ring itself.
To vent the heat.
Yeah, exactly. So that the ring stays strictly below 37 degrees Celsius the entire time it's on the charger, which is basically just normal human body temperature.
That's incredibly smart.
And because they aren't relying on those exposed physical pins that rust or corrode away, the battery life cycle is rated for over 500 charge cycles while still maintaining 80% of its total capacity.
That's years of use.
Yeah, and a single charge lasts 5 to 7 days. I mean, to use an analogy, having traditional exposed charging ports on a waterproof wearable, it's kind of like putting a screen door on a submarine.
A screen door on a submarine. Yeah, it's just a fundamental vulnerability.
Yeah, exactly. It's a vulnerability.
Yeah.
But beyond the technical specs of the battery, what does this actually change for the person wearing it in their daily routine?
Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture, it fundamentally alters the entire psychology of habit formation.
How so?
Think about a traditional smartwatch charger. Using it is this really annoying multi-step cognitive chore.
Oh, it really is.
You have to locate the specific cable, you have to untangle it, you have to
Yeah.
perfectly align the little magnetic pins on the back of the watch.
Right, and then you have to double check the screen to make sure the little green charging icon actually popped up.
Exactly. And then you have to actively remember to put the watch back on your wrist a few hours later.
I cannot tell you how many times I have woken up to a completely dead watch because those tiny little pins were just a millimeter off center.
We all have. It's so frustrating.
Yeah.
But by reducing that whole cognitive chore to a single, completely unconscious action.
Like dropping it on a pad.
Exactly. Just dropping a ring onto a flat pad on your counter when you hop in the shower.
Yeah.
It entirely removes the friction from the process.
It just becomes second nature.
Right. And it is that specific reduction in daily friction that transforms a novel tech gadget into a permanent lifelong habit. It just becomes invisible to you.
That completely tracks. But, and this is a very big but.
I feel a pivot coming.
Oh, yeah. We have established the incredible engineering, the battery life, the profound health benefits of tracking HRV and all the sleep cycle.
Sure.
But this level of extreme miniaturization and this constant continuous data collection, it absolutely does not come without serious trade-offs.
No, it definitely doesn't.
It is time to look at the downsides here because the, utopian vision of seamless health tracking, it has some major catches.
It really does. And our sources include a highly critical 2025 industry review that just pulls no punches about where the smart ring market is really failing consumers right now.
Let's start with the financial catch.
Oh, the
A
subscriptions.
subscription trap. The review points out that the current market leader in rings, which is Aura, they charge around $349 up front just to purchase the actual hardware.
Which is already a lot for a ring.
Right. But then they hit you with a monthly subscription fee on top of that. It's around $5.99 a month just to access your own in-depth health data and insights on the app.
It's essentially a ransom for your own biology.
Exactly. And over a few years, that drastically inflates the total cost of ownership. Now, to be fair to the other brands, the sources do contrast this with companies like OXYZEN, Ringcon, and Amazfit.
Right, they do it differently.
Yeah, they explicitly offer subscription-free models where your initial hardware purchase just unlocks all the software features forever.
Which is how it should be, honestly.
Absolutely. But it is a massive buyer beware situation right now if you are shopping for one.
You really have to read the fine print. Are you buying a product you own outright, or are you just endlessly subscribing to a service to rent your own biological data?
It's a great question. But beyond the wallet, there is the usability catch.
Yeah, the screen issue again.
Right. Earlier, we just totally praised the lack of a screen for protecting our focus and our zen, but that exact same design choice is a massive double-edged sword.
Definitely.
Because there is no screen and there's no haptic feedback buzzing, smart rings are terrible for real-time pacing.
They are completely useless for it.
Right. If you are doing interval training on a track or you're trying to maintain a very specific heart rate zone on a long run, a smart ring does absolutely nothing for you in the moment.
And the industry review actually highlights that they are notably bad for tracking weightlifting, too.
I read that. But why is that exactly? I mean, titanium is incredibly strong, so it's obviously not going to crush under a barbell.
No, the metal is fine. It actually goes right back to how the PPG sensors work.
Oh, the light in the blood?
Yes. Remember, the ring is shining light into your capillaries to measure your blood volume. Well, when you grip a heavy metal barbell, the intense flexion of your finger muscles physically squeezes those capillaries shut.
Oh, so it cuts off the blood flow in the finger?
Exactly. It restricts the blood flow, so the optical sensors are essentially just looking at an empty pipe.
Wow.
They get totally confused, and your heart rate data just drops out entirely during the lift.
That's a huge flaw for athletes.
It is. Plus, despite titanium's structural strength, those sleek matte finishes they put on them are highly prone to cosmetic scratching when you're just grinding them against knurled steel barbells every day.
Which, leads me to a much broader philosophical critique here.
Okay, let's hear it.
If I am out on a run, right, and I have to literally stop running, pull my phone out of my pocket, unlock it, and open an app just to see what my heart rate is, haven't we just created a totally unnecessary middleman?
That's a very fair point.
Aren't we really just shifting the screen time from our wrist back to our phone rather than actually reducing our digital dependency?
This raises a really important question about, aligning your technology with your actual reality.
Right.
And it validates your point entirely. If your personal goal is to have a standalone device that feeds you real-time coaching, pace metrics, and active notifications so you can leave your phone at home,
Then a ring is a bad idea.
a smart ring is the absolute wrong choice for you, period. It is strictly a passive health analyst. It is not an active sports coach.
And, man, we haven't even touched on the most alarming catch that was mentioned in that 2025 review.
Privacy.
Privacy. The security risk here just absolutely cannot be overstated. Think about the sheer nature of the data this ring is holding on you.
It's everything.
It is. We aren't just talking about how many miles you ran on a Tuesday. We are talking about your most intimate, granular, biological reality.
Yeah, down to the minute.
Exactly when your body falls asleep, exactly when you wake up, your daily stress peaks, your core body temperature fluctuations, your fertility cycles, your exact GPS location.
The industry review actually warns about some severe potential vulnerabilities in how all this data is handled.
Like what?
Well, they point specifically to the massive risk of unencrypted data transmissions between the Ring's Bluetooth module and your phone.
So someone could theoretically intercept your biological data while it's syncing?
Exactly. Or, there are major vulnerabilities in the cloud backend where this massive trove of personal health data is permanently stored by these companies.
That is terrifying.
The review really emphasizes how vital it is for consumers to actually dig into a company's privacy policy. You have to check if their business model relies on anonymizing and selling user data to third-party data brokers.
Because if the ring is subscription-free and the hardware itself is relatively cheap, you really have to ask yourself, how is this company keeping the lights on?
Right. That is the ultimate trade-off.
Are you the customer, or is your entire biometric profile actually the product that is being sold to insurance companies or advertisers?
It is a really sobering reality to consider as these devices just become more and more ubiquitous.
It really is.
And as these biometric wearables become incredibly advanced at, predicting our stress, mapping our sleep, and even warning us of illnesses before we even feel a single symptom, it forces a much larger conversation.
It forces us to look in the mirror, honestly, because we've gone from orchestrating our busy calendars with a loud smartwatch to trying to silently map our hidden stress signals with a ring.
And we have to ask ourselves, are we using this incredible technology to finally learn how to actually listen to our bodies? Or are we simply outsourcing our own self-awareness to an algorithm?
Are we finding our zen, or are we just letting a new, completely invisible machine do all the worrying for us? It's a lot to think about.
Yep.
That's all for today's deep dive. We'll catch you next time.